So check it out. I wanted to bring you a brand new recipe during this COVID-19 pandemic. We got the Popeye's chicken sandwich, Keto 5. Trust me, you're gonna wanna make this one. Let's start it off. Quickly, so you wanna start off with 3 chicken breasts. Now, depending on the size, it's up to you. Personally, I like to get them in and I like to size them up a little bit. The ones you're seeing in the camera, I actually cut them down some because I wanted to form them into the actual bun itself. This is what I'm aiming for. But if you wanted to cook the whole chicken or a whole slice of chicken breast, hey, be my guest. And by all means, if you want to swap the chicken breast out for a chicken thigh, that's fine. It just won't be as authentic as what you would get from the restaurant. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what we're gonna do is what you call a brine. This is gonna add moisture to the chicken and it's gonna produce a flavor. For those southern folks, brining chicken and buttermilk is nothing new whatsoever. So you're not necessarily gonna ingest the entire 2 cups of buttermilk. So, you know, if you don't want to do this method, that's completely fine, but you will be missing out on flavor. And a quick tip, you will see a lot of hot sauce and spice used in this video. Don't worry, the end result and it will not set your mouth on fire, okay? Trust me. Unless you're sensitive to hot and spicy. Unless if you're super sensitive, then it may. So you want to brine these for either overnight or for about 24 hours. Overnight is more than fine enough, which will be 8 to 12 hours, or over a day rather, you know, if you do it like first thing in the morning. While these are brining, you can make your keto flour. Now they do sell panko pork rinds, but me personally, I grind my own because it's far cheaper and I know exactly what kind of pork rinds are going into it. I use these epic bags right here. Not this one was when I snacked on, but just the regular Himalayan salt. But I mean, I guess there is pepper in it, so you can use this one if you want. And this is a 2.5 ounce bag. This will get you done with 3 chicken breasts. Now that's super huge. One of them might be a little skimpy, but 3 chicken breasts, if you grind these up nicely in your food processor, you will definitely get where you want to go. Now, as far as the seasoning goes, so what you want to do in a food processor, 2.5 ounce bag of pork rinds, or 2.5 ounces of pork rind panko, 1/3 cup of protein powder, and 2 teaspoons of xanthan gum. Now this is going to be the base of your flour. Next, I'm going to talk about the seasoning. And when it comes to the seasoning, I want you to actually split this in half. I want you to put half in your breadcrumbs, and then I want you to save the other half to season your chicken with. So 2 teaspoons of salt, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 2 teaspoons of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of cumin, 1 teaspoon of turmeric, 2 teaspoons of cayenne pepper, and 2 teaspoons of paprika. Now take half, grind that into your breadcrumbs, and then sit that to the side. Save the other half for your chicken when you're ready. Now that your chicken is brined long enough, we're gonna pull the chicken out. Now, I didn't really drain my chicken completely. The first time I actually did, and to be honest, it actually helped the breadcrumbs stick to the chicken better. So I would actually recommend you kind of, you know, do that little motion where you kind of get the excess buttermilk off. I just didn't do that this time. But after you pull it out, take that other half of the season that you had and season your chicken breast. Both sides, preferably. There's no need to just do one. Now, what you want to do is you want to create a wet batter mixture. The wet batter mixture helps, it adds moisture, and then the egg actually is an emulsifier. So what it'll do is it'll help combine that xanthan gum and the breadcrumbs and help all of it stick uniformly around the chicken. Now you will lose some because it's not perfect, but it works very well actually. In your wet batter mixture, you're gonna need 3 eggs, 1/3 cup of water, 1 cup of hot sauce, and 1 teaspoon of mustard. Give that a good whisk. Once that's done, put that to the side. Now take your chicken and dip it in your breadcrumbs and cover it evenly. Remove it from the breadcrumbs, put it into the wet batter, cover that, and then bring it back over into the breadcrumbs. This is going to help it thicken up a little bit, and it's actually going to help make it a little more crispier than what it would normally be if you just did 1 dip. For those that are used to making chicken, or that have worked in fast food or something like that, you're very familiar with this method. What you want to do now is place your chicken in the freezer and allow the entire chicken to freeze and allow the breadcrumbs to freeze to the chicken. And I'm going to explain why to do this later. So after they've been frozen for, let's say, maybe 4 hours or even longer than that, let's just say overnight or over the daytime, I want you to take something such as coconut oil. I mean, you can use olive oil. You can use whatever kind of oil you want to use. I use coconut oil. The oil doesn't matter because you're not gonna taste it. If you use the coconut oil, you're not gonna taste the coconut oil. It's just not. There are too many flavors inside of the chicken for the coconut oil to even get a chance to shine through. Remove your chicken from the freezer. Now what you want to do is right now is you just want to simply flash fry it. And the reason you're flash frying it is because something like this, there's no way possible for a piece of chicken this thickness for you to actually get the chicken done before the breadcrumb actually burns. Because you gotta think about it, using pork rind, this is not like flour. The breadcrumbs are already cooked, they're already done. So the next stage for them is to burn. So that's the reason you froze it, is because if you just would have used it straight out of the batter, all of it would have fell off. At least this time, you have an opportunity to put it in there for it to harden up and then flip it over. Now, as I said, it's not gonna be perfect as you can see in the video, but flash fry it about 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes each side. Just enough to give it a brownish. You don't wanna burn it because it will continue to cook going inside the oven. After you finish doing that, I would prefer you to actually place the chicken on something such as a wire rack or a cooling rack, if that makes sense. A baking rack, I'm not quite sure what term you want to use. What you want to do is you want to keep the chicken elevated so air can flow over the chicken and under it as well. This is going to help keep that crust, crispy crust around the chicken. If you just set it on top of, let's just say, regular aluminum foil or parchment paper, the bottom may become very soggy, and when you pick it up, it's going to cause the entire thing to break. Now, you'll save some of the crumbs, but I mean, you know, it won't be as pretty. What you want to do, now you want to place this into an oven at 400 degrees until your chicken reaches an internal temperature of about 165 degrees. 160 is fine, and anything over 165 is perfect. That's the internal temperature that the FDA, I want to say? I don't know, whoever regulates the temperatures for when they say the bacteria are gone. I don't know who does that. But whoever that is, they said 165 degrees. But from my experience, I know 160 is just fine. And 160 or 165, your chicken is still very juicy. This is going to take anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how long you fry it. If you did a quick flash fry, it's definitely going to take about 30 minutes or so for it to reach that temperature. Or you can do the old school method and just simply cut it down the middle. That'll definitely tell you which one to know. But understand, when you remove these, allow them to cool. The outside wrapping after the chicken is done is going to be very, very fragile. You have to be careful with handling it because certain parts are going to want to stick, certain parts are not going to want to stick. And due to the egg wash, the way we did it, it's the entire frame of the crumb is going to be uniform. So when one part breaks, the other half starts to fall apart because it's the egg, it brought it together, it emulsified it. Yeah, that's how I'm trying to explain this right now. Let's taste this thing. So, a heads up about these. If you're concerned about how spicy they are, you don't have to. They're not super spicy. Then especially if you add things like mayo and then pickles on top of it. Spice won't be an issue, but there is a spice flavor, if that makes sense. So it's spicy as far as the seasoning goes, but it's not spicy as far as like hot. What I did was I put mayo on one side of the chicken and then I didn't put mayo on the other side. It does remain crunchy only if it's fresh. If you were to put it in the refrigerator like overnight, it's not going to be very crunchy the next day, if at all. But the first day, like straight out of the oven, yeah, you will have a crunch. And depending on how well it sticks depends on how well you put it together to actually. I'm not sure how the Popeye's chicken sandwich tastes, but if it tastes anything like this, it's actually quite amazing. The way the spices work, it's great. I have no other words for it. You don't have to worry about the pork rinds. They don't come through. It doesn't taste super fatty. But the spices and the saltiness, and that just overwhelms everything. And that's what you want because you get nothing but pure flavor. There's nothing bland about this. So try a piece with the mayo. And the mayo just makes it better if you're a mayo person. So I didn't do a bun because simply I ate earlier and I had a cauliflower crust pizza. So, you know, when it just comes to any extra fiber, I just rather not have any. But you have a whole bunch of different types of buns. I have a discount code for Smart Baking Company. I don't have one for Sola, but I see people use that. And then there's a couple other brands people use. Or you could just do the standard lettuce wrap. I normally go to that most of the time. If I don't go to that, I do use Smart Baking Company. That's all I got for you today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys are able to find the products to be able to make this because things are a little rough right now. And make sure you and your family stay safe out there. I am keeping my butt in the household as long as I need to. So I'm good on my end. I am Darius. This is Sugarless Crystals, your sugar-free destination of YouTube. Enjoy me. I'm guilt-free. Indulge.